I have made over $100 million in one of the world's hardest professions. And I can tell you right now, most of you should never touch prediction markets. Not because they're scams, not because you can't make money, but because you're approaching them completely wrong. The same expertise and discipline with which I approach trading stocks is exactly what's missing when I watch people trade on Polymarket or Kalshi. So let's fix that. I'm Lance and I've mastered the game of trading. Now that I'm done sacrificing my health for wealth, I focus on teaching aspiring traders, and well, I guess now that includes prediction market traders too. Let me be very clear from the start. Prediction markets in many ways is just like trading. If you approach them like a gambler, you'll get the same result gamblers get: losses. So let me walk you through exactly how I would think about prediction markets if I were treating them with the same seriousness I treated Wall Street trading. Step number 1. Reframe what a prediction market actually is. A prediction market is a very straightforward bet based on an outcome of an event. The way these markets work is you'll have a prompt, and this could be something like who will win an election, or will it rain today, or will a word get said at a press conference. And then you can buy the outcomes that are yes or no, and these outcomes are sold as contracts. Essentially, these are what traders call binary markets. Every contract is just a probability expressed as a price. If a contract trades at 65 cents, the market is saying there's a 65% chance this event happens. Your only job is to answer one question: is that probability wrong? And buy enough to overcome any fees, frictions, and risk. That's it. If you don't have a strong opinion that the probability itself is mispriced, you have no business being involved. Just like with stocks, step 2 is that edge is non-negotiable. As I've discussed in this video, traders rely on various types of edge to beat the prevailing market view. Same rules apply here. Your edge in prediction markets can only come from a few places. Information asymmetry. This is where some participants have information or insights others don't, and this even includes insider information. There have been dozens of examples of inside information being acted upon in the prediction markets, like the person who made $500,000 ahead of Maduro being captured out of Venezuela. Number 2. Speed of reaction to new information. The same way algorithms trade inflation data in the stock market, there are now algos reacting to news releases on prediction markets. Number 3. Structural or behavioral inefficiencies. Biases and beliefs influence how people bet, so there will be markets on political candidates or even whether Jesus returns this year, which can be taken advantage of by objective-minded participants. Number 4. Arbitrage opportunities. There are times where you can arbitrage a prediction market's pricing of an event versus markets for stocks, futures, or crypto. Additionally, there are contracts which have largely had the outcome decided, but they don't resolve for a certain period of time. Some market participants might not want their money locked up until then, which leads to all sorts of cool plays that can be made based on the individual's time value of money. There's even a great article on Data Wallet that discusses a bunch of different strategies that can be used with these markets, along with how automated some of them have become. The reality is, especially with the relative simplicity of binary prediction markets, these markets are far more likely to become automated and price out the manual discretionary trader from many of the opportunities. That being said, there are some legendary examples of traders doing on-the-ground research to beat the market. Like, one example is when a French trader made over $80 million betting on Trump in the 2024 election. The point of this is clear. If you can't articulate which type of edge applies to the bets you're making, odds are you don't have an edge.
With step 3,
we are reminded that just like with stocks, breaking news leads to repricing of contracts that traders can take advantage of. This is where prediction markets start to resemble real trading. Breaking news creates discrete jumps in probability. For example, a court ruling leaks, or a health announcement breaks, or a corporate announcement drops. If you are fast, informed, and able to interpret the headlines better than the market, you can have an advantage. Yes, there are algos in some contracts, but many headlines are convoluted or complicated. Some headlines have second-order effects that take a ton of time for people to grasp the implications of. That is where sophisticated human traders still do best, whether in stocks or prediction markets. Step 4 is that behavioral bias is still real. This is where prediction markets shine and where most participants don't even realize they're being exploited. Humans systematically misprice probabilities due to common human biases. Here are a few examples. The recency bias. People overweight what just happened. A team that lost badly yesterday is suddenly terrible, even if nothing structurally has changed. Narrative bias. Due to social media and the fact that negative news sells more than positive news, there tends to be this pervasive view that the world is getting worse, or that the world is rife with conflict. As more and more people have these biases based on that prevailing narrative about the world, if that narrative doesn't reflect reality, that is opportunity. Not to mention, since excitement and doom sells, Boring realities tend to get ignored and subsequently mispriced. Another bias is overconfidence regarding certainty. Markets love pushing probabilities towards 95 to 99% when real-world systems are messy and fragile. The court system, in particular, tends to always catch market participants offsides. For example, in 2024, it seemed obvious that Elon Musk's pay package for Tesla would be a no-brainer, but then a Delaware court struck it down. Any trader that has been involved in a merger held up in court also knows that nothing is over until it's over. Now, before I get into how to best protect yourself from going broke trading these markets, know that my last video was on the similarities and differences between prediction markets, sports betting, and trading. I think you'll find that interesting too. Step 5. Like with trading, risk management comes first. Always. Here's how most people blow up, and here's how to not let it happen to you. Prediction markets feel safe because your max loss is defined. At the same time, you can always see the big winners on the leaderboard, so it feels like people are making crazy sums of money, leaving you filled with envy and greed. The truth is, a select few whales on polymarket make most of the money. A lot of those whales are operating on inside information, and the majority of bettors just get chopped up paying spreads all day. The same way you manage your risk and emotions in trading, you should still set risk limits in prediction markets, because the truth is that you always need guardrails. No matter how confident you get, you can always be wrong. Someone can always have insider information, or there can be some nuance you missed in a detail of the contract. Step 6. Most people should not trade these. This is the part nobody wants to hear. Prediction markets are not the future of easy money. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think about how common it has become to be able to bet on anything and everything, and that this is detrimental to our society. These prediction markets turn every outcome into some gambling opportunity, and it normalizes speculation in ways that serve no real function to society. We are already a society that is hooked on cheap dopamine. Social media, TikTok reels, and prediction markets are turning everything into an addiction. Like sports betting, these markets disproportionately hook people who are vulnerable to being sold a dream, all while transferring money from the most vulnerable to the insiders, the sophisticated players, and the platforms collecting fees. The result is a world that amplifies gambling addiction, emotional decision-making, and financial stress, especially among younger users who tend to fall the hardest for these, all without producing real economic value, building anything useful, or improving outcomes. As these markets proliferate and expand into a world where you can bet on anything, they risk turning public life into a casino where attention, anxiety, and addiction are monetized at scale. What do you think of these markets? Let me know in the comments. And if you want some high quality, longer form content with substance, hit that subscribe button, because I'm publishing trading videos twice a week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.